Hey everybody, welcome back to Landshark's Garage. Today Mrs. Landshark and I are going to tear into the motor out of the 68 and see if we can figure out what we need to do to put it in the old mullet machine to replace the tired 305 that's in it. Thanks for following along. Hope you guys are enjoying your holidays. We sure are. So this has got an Edelbrock Performer intake on it. I use the 12-point ARP studs. Or not studs, I'm sorry, bolts to hold it in. This is, if you didn't watch the video where we had our problems, this rocker right here, we lost the lifter on this cylinder, and it kind of ate through, destroyed the rocker. The push rod was a little bent, so we're going to get down inside the valley pan and see if we can figure out what actually happened there and what we have to do to fix this. We rebuilt this motor. I'm sorry, I should not say that. Mrs. Landshark rebuilt this motor in December of 2019. Went through, re-ringed, re-bearinged, all the good stuff. So we're pretty sure that the motor's still in good shape. I'm just trying to decide if there's some camshaft damage there maybe. And we'll know when we get the intake off. So we took the distributor out, set it aside. And we're just going to keep on tearing down until we get to a point where we know what we're going to do. So probably not going to be a real long video. But I'll fill you full of all kinds of useless knowledge about small block Chevy motors. Maybe. So we are in northeast South Dakota. Let me show you a little something that we picked up on Friday. The Weather Service told us that we could get 2 to 4 inches. We got 2 to 4 inches an hour till we had 12 inches on the ground. So it's been interesting. Jake and Dexter are trying to remember what snow is all about. We're trying to remember why we live in this area. Probably for the snow. I guess Mrs. Landshark didn't realize I put this table here for a reason.
Well, like you ever do that? Usually you just gotta
we're all fancy.
That.
We're all fancy now that we got a YouTube channel. We just usually just throw it in a pile. Now we're fancy like Applebee's. So it's a dual plane intake. Look down the hole there. You can see the difference. Dual plane gives you good. From takeoff mid-range, where a single plane usually is in that higher RPM range. Single plane's way better for like drag racing applications because you're already up in that RPM range when you're launching. But single plane is a good street setup. I'm not a big fan of reusing gaskets, especially on carburetor gaskets. So look at that. Bye bye. Is that reaching in there? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Shut, Jax. Shut, bud.
This motor's got the short water pump versus the long water pump. We've talked about that before in our videos when we pulled this, but this is how you can tell the difference here. The short water pump's usually right up against the timing cover or very close to it. Long water pump, you can get your hand in there. And usually the short water pump's kind of wide in here, but if you run a short pump, you can't run long pump accessory drives, pulleys and whatnot. So you got to be mindful of that. Sometimes people just don't think of that and start putting on power steering brackets and stuff from a long water pump and
watch out, boys.
Then run into problems. Is it loose?
Yeah, kind of. On that side it was.
Ooh. Trade gear. Really nothing that can go bad there. It's like Christmas morning. So, wow, that's coming out of there nice. This is going to be an unusually short video. I'm pretty sure this lifter just came apart. I don't see anything to say that the camshaft did anything to that lifter. I don't know if it just stopped rotating. There's like a little backer plate in here. I think we'll probably take the oil pan off just to make sure we don't got a bunch of junk in it, but this looks to me, let's go over here. This looks to me like it came apart. We replaced the cam and lifters in this when we built the motor. I do remember that. So I think we could, man. What do you think? Let's see if we can look down that hole. I've got a flashing light right here. Boy. Looking down, I don't know if you can see down in the hole. I don't want to take the head off, but if you look at that, the cam isn't all scarred up or anything.
Oh, so it doesn't have a mark. Well, that edge is kind of rough. Does that mean anything?
It will, just because of the way it rides.
But there's no mark on. There's not even like a discolored mark or anything on it.
It's actually the back side of the camshaft, so it's on a downstroke right now.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So you don't. It doesn't really ride there.
Well, I said to take the oil pan off, see if there's any.
Yeah, get the leaf out of there. We don't need that. But everything else, I mean, you know.
Do you think that clip just popped out and it?
I think so.
I bet the clip popped out and it just came apart.
Because it was running so good when we, you know, when we were down in Mitchell and driving around down there and stuff, we just all of a sudden had a problem, unless something happened up here. But I don't see anything in the valve that would tell me that something happened there. You know, we're going to have to replace this stud. And the rod, we got everything for that. But I don't see anything scary.
Spider.
Except that spider, yeah. It's good. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. What do you think? Put it back together? We'll take the oil pan off, take a look in there. Otherwise, I think we just put it back together. If we have a problem with it, we'll just take it out and fix it. But I don't think we're
we can just do that.
I think everything looks good. We'll put a new intake gasket on it. Take the oil pan off, make sure everything's good there. Get a new rocker stud and put in it. I was thinking that I saw... Oh, that was the motor we put in the 400, had pinned rocker arms. So sometimes when they leave the pressed in rocker stud like this, for performance wise, they'll drill a hole in here and they'll put a roll pin in it and they pin that so that this can't lift out. And this doesn't look like it lifted at all. It's the height it needs to be, but it's wore almost completely through. So I'm not real comfortable leaving that like that. So we'll pull this one out, put a new one in. But I was thinking it was this set of heads. We bought these heads redid, if I remember right. But her 400, I don't know if I showed that in the last video, it's drilled and pinned so that these rocker studs can't pull out. The other option is to pull these all out and thread them and put threaded studs in. But I'm just gonna get a new rocker stud, pull this one out, press the other one back in, and we're gonna let her buck because there's really. I mean, the head of this is a little beat up, but we drove for 120 miles with this clicking because we weren't able to get the valve covers off to pull this all apart and just keep cruising down the road. Partially because the valve covers we had have like a metric set screw that holds them in, and partially because Mr. Landshark said, it'll be fine, we'll just drive it that way, what can happen? And this is all that happened, so we lucked out on that one. But it was dark, and it was windy. Anyway, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to, new lifter, everything we have everything on hand to finish this project. We're going to pull the oil pan off now and take a look at it. I'm going to pull the oil pan off without flipping this over. I'm going to do it from the bottom, just so that if anything fell into it, it stays in the pan you know, if we're missing a piece of that lifter or have some other issue, we'll be able to see it in the oil pan when we take it off. So we were talking about this water pump. We decided we're going to take this pump off and put a new long pump on it, because all the stuff on the Camaro is long water pump accessories, and we want to try and keep the air conditioning on that, and all the pulley drives and stuff that are on that 305 we're transfer over to this. So we'll just swap out the water pump, keep this short pump for another application, and we'll do that before we do the oil pan.
I didn't see where you were talking about, like, it's like burnt looking over here. It wasn't like that on the other side.
Yeah, well, the other side's kind of like that too, but it's, so we noticed this on both center cylinders. You know, it's usually where you're hottest and probably the leanest part because of this crossover, which I usually have that crossover blocked, the crossover in the intake. I usually have blocks in them. But we noticed this on both sides of the motor, and this motor was just painted a few years ago, and this is heat related, so I'm gonna have to do some thinking about why that did that. If you have any idea what might be causing this, why don't you comment on it and let me know. I've never really ran into that other than a lean situation, but I know when we stopped in the Walmart parking lot that night to try and figure out what this tick was, this manifold was glowing in the, you know, in the dark. I could see that it was glowing, which tells me that it was running hot, you know, which should tell anybody that it's running hot. But I never ran into that, so we just assumed maybe it was probably carburetor related, something not adjusted right. But if you have any ideas on why these two center cylinders, you know, 4 and 6, 3 and 5 would get hot like that, let us know, because that's something we want to address if we have to deal with it. Usually it's carb related. But I like to use the Felpro Permatorque oil pan gaskets, the little blue one there, because you can reuse them. Usually they hold up for several oil pan changes or takeoffs. Well, we don't see anything floating around in there.
Dump it out and see what's in the bottom.
That's a good day for us.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. We are trying to put together a compilation of when we had a brain fart and circle track raced for 8 years on the carnage and destruction that Landshark Garage has done to small block Chevy motors during that time. So that's mostly all pictures. A little gassy looking, but other than that, really gassy looking.
That's it, definitely.
No bits and pieces. Look, Mom, no cavities. Hot diggity. Oh no. Hot dummity.
You just laid it the same way again.
Huh?
You just laid it the same way again.
Yeah, but I didn't do this over here.
Here, lift up the back.
Oh, I ruined a perfectly
Here.
good bath towel.
Lift up the back. And you can just tip it into the...
Oh.
There. Oh, there.
Oh, sure. It'll just hold itself now. Well, there you have it. A lot less carnage than we were expecting. That drained out. So we're going to get what we need to fix this so that we can put it in the Camaro. Change that water pump out. That intake will go back on there. Over. Wishing you guys the best holidays. Thanks for following us and helping our channel grow. We really appreciate it. Look forward to showing you what we're going to do with that thing there. Happy holidays. Never forget, drive your shit. We'll see ya.